Hey guys, Chris here. Today I'm going to be reviewing an album by a band I've actually been meaning to do a review on, or at least review an album by them for a while. The album is called Robbin the Hood. It's by Sublime. It's their second album, and I've been wanting to review this album in specific for a while. I don't know why I haven't, but it's a very good album, although it's not very conventional because, see, most artists they start out, their music is not as good as it could be because maybe they don't have enough money to get better equipment, or get a better studio or whatever, or rent one, I should say. So it starts off kind of and then it goes up in quality as the band gets more known. But interesting with Sublime, with this album, because they were formed in, what was it, like 1988, 1986, something like that. And they released an EP called "Ja Won't Pay the Bills." That was, I don't know when that was released, maybe 1990. And then they released their second, well, I guess it was their first full-length album called 40 Ounces to Freedom in 1992. That's a very good album, very long album. It's like 24 songs long. After that, they released this in 1994, and then after this came their self-titled album, which was the one everyone knows. That was in 1996, right before Bradley Noble's death. And for those of you who don't know, he was the singer and basically just the writer of all the lyrics of the band. And they're kind of continued today with Sublime with Rome, but it's, I mean, not really the same, obviously, because Bradley was, basically what made Sublime Sublime, But this is a weird album because, they started with "Ja Won't Pay the Bills," and that rose in quality to 40 Ounces to Freedom. And then this was an interesting, like, not dropping quality, because I love this album. It's got very good quality music on it, but it's like, it took a different spin on what you'd think would have been happening at the time. Like, this was something you'd expect them to put out before any, like, full-length album in terms of just structure of the album. And of course their self-titled was normal. But, like, this is weird because you have normal songs on it. You've got a few ones that sound really refined. And others, it's just like minute-long, like, acoustic versions of, or I guess, not versions because it was just those songs, but just like, minute and a half long acoustic songs mixed with, normal-sounding Sublime songs. And then another weird, you have, like, little dubs, too, in there. Actually, one starts off the album, and I love that. I love the way this album starts. It has a very, like, sketchy feel to it. Like, I don't really know how to put it. Like, it just gives me, like, very sketchy vibe, not very, but slightly sketchy vibes, and it's very good, though. Like, I like the way this album sounds, but it's like, I don't really know how to explain it. But another thing that makes this album interesting, and you look at the cover, you can tell they weren't exactly, I mean, if you just look at everything physical about this album, it's kind of evident that they weren't that good on money at the time. It's a plain black disc, with basic copyright information at the bottom. Plain white inside for the CD case. They did have a little tiny, not even lyrics packet. They couldn't fit any lyrics in this thing. They had a thank you page right here. They had a who did who kind of page here. This is the cover. And then you have like a little, collage here, which, if this thing were a couple pages longer, it would probably be lyrics instead. And then the back of it, it's like another kind of thing where it looks like you could have put it together in, like, I don't know, some kind of Microsoft program, but that's not a problem. Again, this album is 25 years old. And it's Sublime. It's great. I'm not going to criticize them just for the physical art they did on their album. But The front, you can see where it was recorded: Long Beach, California, Sublime, Robbin the Hood. Surprisingly, there's a parental thing on there. I don't know when they started to have to put those things on albums, but okay. Includes 13 self-produced 4-track home recordings. And you really can't tell that, like, which ones are going to be which, because some of them are, you know, a little bit better quality. I guess it really all depends where they were recorded. But the one thing that makes this album, I love and hate this aspect of this album, featuring Raleigh Theodore Sakers. Now, like, this, for some reason, they put this old-ass business guy, like, they scattered him, like, rambling throughout this album. So, you know, you get the dub in the beginning, and then you get Raleigh talking about, like, I don't remember what he talks about, but, he's just rambling on about, like, and, okay, like, what annoys me is, like, okay, I'm fine with people my age, you know, swearing their pants off. And same thing with old people, because they're old. But when you have people in the middle, when you have people from, like, 35 to, like, 55 who consistently swear, it's annoying. It just sounds trashy and, like, I don't know. Because, like, you're an adult. Like, grow up, honestly. So, like, you have this dude scattered 1, 2, 3, 4. You have him, like, his bullshit scattered, like, 4 times throughout this album. And, like, half the time it's, like, 2+ minutes long of him just rambling about stupid things. Like, really dumb things, like, like a prostitute getting him money or something. I don't know. But it's, like, it is almost unnecessary for this album. But at the same time, it's, like, it makes the album all the more charming. Like, I don't know, it's really hard. It's just so unique in the sense that it's like, I mean, at the time, 1994, Sublime was well established. They had a following, you know? So for them to release this thing with a bunch of demo-y sounding songs and some trashy old dude, like, swearing like a sailor, was, like, just interesting, you know? Like, I don't know. I mean, as for the actual songs, I do love Pool Shark, both versions. The first version here is a faster electrified version, and then there's an acoustic version as well, which I think is very good. Puts me in kind of a meditative state. Really all the acoustic songs on this album do. I do love Greatest Hits. I love Work That We Do. I love the Free Loop dub. I love all the dubs on this album. Boss DJ was one of the first songs I fell in love with on this album. Like, just the whole refrain of, like, it's so nice that when you hear the same song twice. And I got this on, I think it was my 18th birthday. So I've had this album for about 6 months. And the song ends, or the album musically ends with a song called Mary, which is about a minute long, about this girl that he liked that, you know, had some daddy kink for him or whatever. And it's a nice little way to end the album. Of course, then it goes into Raleigh. But, it's a very good album. If you are trying to get into Sublime, do not start listening to this album first. Pick up 40 Ounces to Freedom or their self-titled. This is not a good starting point for your Sublime fandom. I mean, even, you could go so far as to get their, like, what's it called? Secondhand Smoke, which was like a bunch of other demos that were a little bit more refined. Get that even instead of this. Like, this is not an easy album to follow. Like, because for one, you can't even tell what song is which. Like, between all the little extra stuff in the album, you don't know. And they're not numbered either, so you can't, like, see it in, like, a CD player or something, which track it's on. And it's like, you know, like I was saying, half the songs are, like, listenable to most people, and then the other half is like, what am I listening to? I'm just listening to some, like, acoustic, you know, stuff that I could do myself, you know? I mean, I couldn't, because I have no talent at all, but it's like, people who have musical talent could probably do. I wouldn't say, actually, no, I take that back. There's something about Bradley Nowell's vocals and just musical style that no one can replicate, but it's like, you could make this album, basically, is what I'm trying to say. But, like, it's not something you want to get into. I mean, you could. It's gonna be an interesting story saying that your first Sublime album you got into was Robbin the Hood. This was the last, no, second to last, because I got Secondhand Smoke by them about a month and a half ago. And this was the one, my second to last album that I got by them. And it's a very good album. I'd give it a 7.5 out of 10, only because it's so scattered and, like, you know, there's a lot going on in this album, but that's good, you know. If I didn't like Sublime, I'd probably give this like a 5, because it has a lot of good songs on it, but there's just so much else happening with this thing. And it's like, it's a good album though. I mean, even, I don't know, I really like it. It's something interesting, you know, and it breaks that typical pattern of, like, you know, in terms of, like, musical listenability, if you will, because with this one, like, and then, you know, back up. But that's not a bad thing, because it's a good album. It's just, it kind of breaks the typical cycle, if you know what I mean. But, yep, this is at 11 minutes, so I'll cut it off, and I'll see you guys in the next video.